Hello, everyone. Welcome to New Gen Politics. So, over the last couple days, I've seen online that people want Trump to run for a third term. And Trump himself has even alluded to this and mentioned it. And it is technically possible. There's two ways to do it. The first is either get rid of the 22nd Amendment, or the second is this weird musical chairs thing they want to do where you elect somebody as a Trojan horse with Trump as vice president, because you can't elect him again as president, clearly, because of the 22nd Amendment. But you could elect J.D. Vance as president, have Trump be vice president, then on day one have J.D. Vance step down and Trump becomes president, and then Trump picks J.D. Vance as his vice president. Like, legally, you can do that, but that's a level of shenaniganry that our system was never meant to handle. So, first and foremost, this is a bad idea. Like, this is just cringe. I like Trump. He's okay. Like, he's a good president overall for right now, but he is not that great. Like, we don't want Trump forever. His policies are pretty all right at the moment. Basically, he's strong economically. Everything else, he's about as liberal as a conservative can be in the modern day. And over time, he's getting pushed aside. He's getting kind of stepped over by people who are going to be more conservative than him. And I think after this term, Trump might even end this term in a somewhat embarrassed state by still remaining socially liberal, mass legal immigration, huge Zionist, very pro-gay, all that sort of stuff that I think is going to kind of really hurt his image as like a conservative when real conservatives continue to take the stage. So that alone, I don't want Trump for forever, but even more so than his policies, even more so than any of that, any of his cultural impact, whatever, more so than I think we don't need to have someone for more than 8 years. I think that's a problem. The biggest problem is he's really, really old. He's already 78. By the time he's done, he'll be 72. And then if he runs again, gets Trojan horsed in, or they get rid of the 22nd Amendment, he's going to be 86. Didn't we just get done with a whole term of making fun of Biden for being so old? He was in cognitive decline, which was clearly the case. You really don't think that an 86-year-old man is not going to have any problems? Of course he's going to start slipping. He's old. It's not happening now, but this is also the first year of his second term. We don't know what's going to happen at the end of 4 years. Trump could be in cognitive decline. It is possible. It's actually very possible because he's old. And then you want to add 4 more years on top of that? No. If you're really saying that there's not another qualified person in a country of 300 million people, you're delusional. There's plenty of other people who could be president. There's plenty of other people who will probably be a better president or could be a better president than Trump. That's not taking anything away from Trump. It's just he did what he needed to do in his era. He had his time. He created this movement. He really is the main driving force that took the Republicans from being a bunch of warmongering cowards to real, genuine, far-right conservative people, care about the country, care about what it means to be an American, have Christian values. Trump was really the one that allowed access to that. Even if he didn't do it all directly, he allowed people to foster that sort of belief system. And even now, that's why he's important. That's the most important thing, is that he still allows people to be moving farther to the right under the cover of him being president without, like, if Kamala Harris was in, there'd be online censorship, there'd be the digital IDs, there'd be all that sort of stuff. Trump's not doing any of that. He's allowing freedom of speech. That's the biggest thing. People are getting more conservative. That's great. That does not mean that because he did X, Y, and Z good things that he should be president for the rest of his life. And I think people have a little bit of an obsession with Trump himself. There is a little bit of that deifying of Trump. And we want to flag wave and kind of cheer and whatever about our leaders. We should, especially the people who are doing a good job in representing us. You want to take it a little bit to the extreme, right? Build morale. But there is a level of, like, he can do no wrong, which is not good, because if you say that, then his faults do not get cleared up by the next person. The next person doesn't come along and say, hey, he did like 80% great stuff, but this 20% we should work on. That I think is like a real problem if you don't start looking at the flaws in your own party, if you don't look at the flaws in your own leaders and don't try to move on from that. And there's this kind of obsession that it's got to be him. And it doesn't have to be him. He can start a movement and then step aside and, maintain the respect and everything that he has built from doing that itself. So I think he's just trolling when he's hinted at it. I think he knows he's old. I don't think he even really wanted to run again for any other reason than he had unfinished business. Like if he had won in 2020, I don't think he would have really talked about running in 2024, even though he could have run mentally and physically. He's fine. If he found a way to Trojan horse or get rid of the 22nd Amendment, I still don't even think he would have done it. I think the only reason he ran in 2024 is because he had unfinished business. But after this, his term's over. And I think we should keep it that way. I don't want to open the door for infinite presidents. Because I've been seeing memes online of Democrats retaliating by saying, Trump thinking he'll get elected for a third term, and here comes Obama, which is pretty funny because it is possible. Like, you've opened the door again. I don't think Obama will get elected, but you never want to have that opportunity. And just going even further with that, you don't want to have basically a system where there's two incumbents all the time. Because a lot of people just vote for who they know. They've heard the name before. There's a lot of people who wait till last minute to vote, to even think about who to vote for and whatnot. And we know name recognition is huge. That's why a lot of these people, once they get into political office, they never leave. They never lose, because I've heard of that guy before. I'll write his name down. And so you can get into a system where it's like, yeah, you have freedom of choice, but there's a huge burden on the individual to separate from who they know and really do research and like vote for the new guy who has no accomplishments versus like, Trump's pretty good. But you could have had a scenario where it won't happen now because they're both super old. But imagine over the course of 30 years, you elect two 50-year-old guys and it's like Trump, Biden, Trump, Biden, Trump, Biden. You don't want that. That's not anything you want. And the reason they would have a more likely chance of winning because people know who they are and they remember, oh, well, good things did happen under this president or that president. And you just get the same people forever. I constantly believe that in a country of 300 million people plus, you can find somebody after 8 years to serve 8 years and then 8 years, new individuals. I think there's people who are qualified. And I think it actually leads to people being better because there is that kind of churning over of the water of, if you're not good enough, if you're not working for the times, then someone's going to come along and do a better job. Because you can be great at a period in time for a people in a place, but as that period of time, just that one factor moves along, society is going to change. Things are going to change. And if you're not able to adapt, if you're not a leader who is capable of really changing his ideals constantly, not in like a, manipulative way or whatever, but in the sense of, I acknowledge these new challenges and I've got to adapt to take on these new challenges, and maybe parts of my ideology I have to constantly adjust. Trump hasn't really evolved much since 2016. Not really. So I don't really want him where he's at today to be president in 10 years and 20 years. Obviously, he wouldn't live that long, but you get what I'm trying to say is that over that course of time, your usefulness for that period of time has diminished. And you're going to want somebody to come along who runs on the issues that you did not take care of. That's how humans operate, is young people come along and say, you did a great job, you did a great 80%, but these 20% new issues you just didn't tackle. And I'm going to run on those and I'm going to fix those specifically. That's what I want to see. That's what I think would be good. I think the Republican Party is going through this kind of cycle of kicking out the neocons, the real leftists, that sort of thing. But like I said, Trump's about as leftist as you can get and still remain in the Republican Party. He is still very socially left. Despite what the left says about him, on paper, he is one of the most liberal conservatives we have. So That's not something I want to see maintained into the future. And I think it's on Trump to determine how his legacy goes. Will he gracefully step aside, or will he try to do these shenanigans? I don't think he's really going to do it, but even not, it still is a little concerning that some of his base is wanting him to do this. And I just don't see that as being a good idea or a winning ticket. If it's all in jest, like, that's totally fine. Like, run Trump for 50 years, make the liberals cry. That's funny. But to actually be serious about it is a different thing. And I don't think it's a good idea in the slightest. So that's my thoughts on this. If you have any objections or opinions, let me know what you think down in the comments below. Whether you like Trump or don't, whether you think he should, be entitled to run again or not, or if he should even try. Should we just get rid of that amendment? Is it feasible? Is it possible? It's worth discussing, at least. I don't want to shut down any ideas, because now's the time to talk about these sort of things. Like, maybe we don't need restrictions on presidents. Maybe we do. Talk it out, So let me know what you think down in the comments below. You made it all the way through the video. Thank you for watching.